Stock screen, price bands and margins. Price bands, sometimes called price levels, are different pricing structures depending on who the customer is, what group they belong to, whether you're using web pricing or just manually setting a special price band. Maybe the time of day influences it, or in a different part of the building or structure. So for example, the front of house pays one price, but people in the restaurant part get a different price, and so on. So there's many different things you can use them for. So to create a price band, click on stock functions and then go to price bands here. So I'm going to create a new price band. So let's click new price band and let's call it staff pricing. So in this example, I'm going to pretend that we're going to do a whole price level just for staff. So let's press edit price band. At the moment, no rule is set. This basically means that right now, if staff pricing is enabled, all the prices inherit the standard price. They'll just be exactly the same. Let's click it. We've got 4 options. The first 2 are quite complicated, so therefore advanced people who know how to use SQL. If you want to use a specific formula or anything like that, just give us a call. We'll help you with it, or an email. The main 2 are cost price plus a percent, so that's obviously the primary supplier cost plus a percentage, or you could do selling price minus a percent. So you don't have to keep going back in and changing what the price is for staff pricing. It will automatically just change by itself. So let's say cost price plus percent, and that cost price plus percent will be, let's say, 30%. Okay. We can also override the point multiplier as well if we want to. Let's press tick, and now that's done. If we want, we can also edit the product prices. So we can say, that's great, every product is 30% above whatever the cost price is, except for, and then put some exceptions in. So if we say Jack Daniel's single, that one is still £3.50, or it could be £3.20. So you can do overrides on that product. I'll leave that there and I'll close that. So let's test this out. If we go into sales mode, and I'll just maximize that, and we'll press find item, Jack Daniel's 1.5 litre. At the moment it's $49.99, but if I click functions, set price band, staff pricing, the price changes to $46.78. We can see that we're on that price band by clicking the black bar and see that it says staff pricing. So obviously not a good deal for that one there, but hopefully the single, which is normally £3.50, is actually £3.20. You can, of course, press the question mark and quickly go to price bands and quickly change them there as well. So let's do that. Let's put that back as we found it, back to no price band. If we click on stock functions and then stock manager, press search. If we click on Jack Daniel's whiskey 1.5 litre and then click bands or margins, you can see there is now 2 price bands. One is the standard, next is the staff pricing. So they're currently paying $46.78, only £3 cheaper than the standard selling price for the general consumers. The supplier cost is $29.99. So we get to see the profit, the POR, that's profit on return, the margin, and the markup. POR is quite good because it's got the VAT or tax elements built into it. So when the VAT or tax rate changes, that percentage changes itself. If we, however, go to single and go to bands and margins, you'll notice this one's actually in bold. That is because it's got an explicit price override for it. Now you can actually just click these, and if you press this button, which is null, click that, it will then resume back to the standard. Now, of course, in this case, it's based on supplier cost. That's a bad example. So if we go back to here, go on here, $46.78. Let's say they can have it for £45. You'll see it goes back to bold. But if we click it again and say null, it resumes back to the standard 30% cost rule instead. You can also change profit POR and margin by just clicking on them. So if I said I want it to be 40%, then you'd have to charge £49.98. If I want it to be 30%, you'd have to charge £42.84. So you can click in any one of those and also just remove it if you don't like it either. Even if you don't use price bands, it's still quite useful for handling the standard selling prices. So at the moment we're making £11.67 profit. If you'd like to make £12 profit, the computer says you have to charge £50.39. Or if you'd like to make 30% POR, £51.41. Now, another good use of this is those margins you can also control and keep track of by using target prices. Okay? So if I was to click on Edit Product, and I think it's under Additional Values, is it? Probably under... nope. What I'm going to do is add these as columns because they're not in the standard ones. So what we're going to do, if we go on here, we can see we've got target margin, target POR, and target markup. If these values are 0, that means one isn't set. Okay, I'm just going to use POR for the moment. I'm going to go to Layout and I'm going to create some extra columns. Okay, so the first one I want is, of course, profit on return. I want to see the POR percentage, and I'm going to give it a custom header there as well, 60 pixels. I'm also going to do another one, and that will be the target POR, which we've just mentioned just then. And again, 60 pixels wide. Lastly, I think that's all I need, is it? Profit on return, target POR. Yes, that's the one I was looking for. Target selling price, including tax, POR. Let's put that in too. Okay, this basically means that, well, I'll show you now. Let's close that. It's easier to see it. So, Jack Daniel's Whiskey 1.5 litres. At the moment, we're making 29.99%. In other words, 30% POR. So let's say that we want it to always be 30%. Okay? Target selling price, including tax, POR. There we go. I had to do a refresh there. £51.41, which is what we're selling it for right now. If I was to change the cost of this product, so let's say we changed it to £35 there and refreshed it, we are currently making 18.3%. But if we want to be making 30%, then we'll have to charge £60. So this makes it easy to handle price increases. So now you can put in £60 if you want to, or you may choose to absorb some of that cost and only put it up by a few pounds more instead. Rather than going through all the products and manually putting in what the current POR is to what the target POR is, so I could put in 50 there and press search and to refresh it. There we go. What we can do instead is select them all, or select a huge amount of them, go to special tasks and target margin tools. If you then click on set target POR to current POR for selected items, what that's going to do is it will set whatever current POR you're making, it will set the target POR to that value. So that in the future, if the prices and costs that you buy your items for go up, you can see at a glance what they should be. And you could then use this second option here if you want to say whatever the selling price should be based on my target POR, set them to that amount right now. So you can bulk set the target POR and bulk set the selling price to whatever the target selling price should be based on whatever the cost POR is. Of course, some people like to just do it manually, going through and saying, well, I'm only making 18% when I used to be, or I should be making 30, and then choosing whether to go for the full £60 and then doing them one by one. Sometimes a human element is quite a good idea to work out how far can you push price increases. You don't have to use POR if you don't want to. As you can see, you can use margins or markups if you prefer. Most of the time, people use profit on return, but again, it's up to you. There are 3 different choices to choose from.